What's up? It's K.Honesty, and I'm about to review SWV and Escape, the Queens of R&B, episode 2. So if you have not seen the second episode of SWV and Escape, the Queens of R&B, turn this video off, go watch it, come back and watch this video. Anything I say is my opinion. It does not reflect anyone or anything associated with the show. These are my expressions, my feelings, this, that, and the third. I am not a public speaker, so I may stutter and I may pause to make sure that I'm on track with my notes that I got over here that I take while I'm watching the show. And while I talk, my mouth gets dry, so I always got some water on standby, okay? All right, last chance. If you have not seen the second episode of SWV and Escape, the Queens of R&B, turn this video off because I'm about to be spoiling the entire episode. I always like to rate the episode before and after these videos. And I'm going to rate this episode a C. I'm going to give it a C. Because it's like, come on, bro. It was just a lot of storytelling to other people and not to each other. It was just annoying to me. Alright, last chance. If you have not seen the second episode, turn this off. About to get into it. Okay. So we get this first scene, which is basically concluding the sit down with Tasha and Tamika and their mom. Tamika's still going off about her money being stolen by Tasha and Tasha's husband. The mom just consistently trying to get the camera people to leave her house and turn the cameras off. Tamika just, she just upset. She like, you never take my side, mom, this, that, and the third. The mom telling her she need to calm down, stop overreacting, but not even denying. Oh, no, she did say, she was like, that girl ain't take your money, this, that, and third. And the mom she's like, look, if y'all can't turn the cameras off, leave out my house. I just feel like that was so funny. Because I was like, it gotta be some truth to it because you keep telling them to turn the cameras off. They even go to a confessional scene where they asked Tamika, they was like, is your mother mad? Or like, they asked her something about her mother being mad about the cameras being off. I mean, the cameras being on, her saying that on camera. And Tamika was like, she's absolutely upset. That's why she wants the cameras off, basically. So we get that. Then we get this scene with Candy, Tiny, and Tamika. I guess Candy and Tiny thought Tasha was going to be there too, but they didn't know what transpired the night before, I guess. So they're there, and Tamika's telling Candy and Tiny what happened the night before at their mom's house. Telling them how she brought up the situation with her with the money, and how the mom took Tasha's side, basically. Let me make sure I'm on the right point. And then she says that her mom, that at the time that Tasha and Tasha's husband supposedly took the money, her mom knew about it and was saying, you don't know what Tasha was going through. And Tamika was like, well, I was pregnant with my, I think my first child and things like that. I could use that money in situations like that. And then we get this flash to Tasha and her husband. And they sitting down, they talking about why she lying on them and they just need to sorting it out and she need to get to the bottom of it, but they not really trying to hear that. They just going to ignore the BS because they know it's BS and all that stuff. Then flashback to Tamika, Tiny, and Candy. Tamika plays Tiny and Candy a voicemail from her mom. And her mom's on the voicemail talking about, you need to fix it with your sister. Basically saying, if you don't fix it with your sister, man, you're going to have a problem. Like, I'm going to put hands on you type stuff. So I was just like, that's so crazy that you're supposed to be your mom. She's not even supposed to be picking, like, it do seem like she picking a side. I ain't been there all their life, so I don't know, but it do seem like the mom is picking a side. Then Tamika, she's telling Candy and Tiny about, well, they knew. She was like, y'all know, all these years I always take her back, even when she wrong, this, that, and third. But I'm tired. People reach a breaking point. And as she's saying, she always took Tasha's side all these years. Candy over there making faces and stuff. And Tiny laughing. So I'm like, hit Candy go with these faces. She always making faces. Even on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like, Candy is known for them faces, child. You can read what she's saying through the little expressions she be making when she on these reality shows. Okay. So then we get to Lily. Lily's at her house. SWV, I think they all just got back from, I don't know if they was torn or they was rehearsing or something like that. So Lily, she's in the house with her sister. They introduced Lily's sister in there. they in there talking about like everything, talking about their mom and dad, talking about her tour in Africa, and they're busting biscuits all over the daggone counter. At least Lily basically just telling her story about how she got her start and stuff like that. How the first time she heard SWV on the radio, she talked about how she was a mom at 15 and how she had to work 2 part-time jobs to basically I guess support herself and her child, and her mom would watch her child at night while she recorded with SWV and stuff like that. Like basically just telling her story. So I guess this episode we basically got SWV family stories and stuff, because the first episode we got Escape's family and stuff. We got to see their family moments and things like that. Then we get to Tamika and Taj. They meet up, and Taj looks great. She's glowing for me, and I like Taj. She always seems like the good energy in the group, just like I feel like Tiny feels like the good energy in Escape. But she looks very good, and she's fast, and I'm like, I know that's right. It's working for you, girl. So they basically, Tamika, now look, I'm liking you, Tamika. I'm liking you. But every scene you go to, I'm seeing you talk about this meetup with your mom, and Tamika and Tasha talking about this money. So I'm like, by all means, like, let people in about what's going on and what the beef is. But like, girl, every time I see you, you singing this same song. So it's just like, I don't know yet. But I like Tamika. I like her though. So she telling Taj about the meetup with her mom. And telling her how she always feel like her mom always taking Tasha side. And she was telling Tasha about how she always used to ride for Tasha even when Tasha was wrong, because she wanted her mother's love and approval and things like that. And that's why she did the things that she did. So then we get Taj basically telling Tamika that Tamika need to work it out with Tasha, and just like her mom needs to take a step back. And she in the confessional saying like, the mom, you shouldn't even be playing favors like that. You should just stay back and let the daughters handle their own situation, because you getting involved that shouldn't even be a situation, basically. And I agree with Taj. Like, the mom is too involved, and she need to let them handle it. And I'm gonna wait till I get to the end, because I was just about to say something, but it ain't get to that yet, so I don't want to put those two together yet. But then, did I finish that scene with Taj and Tamika? That's all I wanted to say about them. Yeah. So then we get to Candy, Tamika, Tasha. They all go to Tiny's house. Tiny's there too. So you can just meet up. Oh my gosh. So Tamika gets there first, and then Candy gets there. And then Tasha get there. Tasha just be seeming so stale. Like, why? Why you seem so off-putting? Like, I can understand why they can't work together. And it's not because of it, nobody else but her, from what I'm seeing, from what I'm watching. Shoot. So they in there. They basically started to try to talk about logistics of the tour, or what's going to go on with SWV, but that gets like immediately shut down. They started talking about how they need new management. And apparently their management was brought to them through Tasha and her husband, who seemed shady. I didn't know the backstory about Tasha's husband last episode, so I was saying how they were so cute on the basketball court with their son and this, that, third. Whole time they do some shady stuff, but like I said in the my first review, I did not watch any of the SWV or Escape spinoffs, so I don't know the backstories of all this stuff. But I be watching like other podcasts and stuff that review the show and stuff like that, because I want to learn, I want to get better. So when they be talking about stuff about the husband stuff, I be like, oh snap, I didn't know this. I be like, dang, I was so. But that's the good thing though. And that's another thing. I don't watch these type of podcasts and stuff until after I do my own review, because I don't want to say anything that might be the same thing as somebody else. But that's why when I did my first review, I was totally biased about the Tasha and her husband thing. I had no idea. But I'm still my own opinion. Like, I'm watching and I'm saying what I feel when I'm watching this. But anyway, so they talking about new management, and Tasha just, I'm gonna pray about it. She just basically like not trying to talk about. They give her the floor to talk about. She like, we don't really. I mean, at this point, I don't feel like it's nothing that we don't need to talk about. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that keep getting swept under the rug, and we need to bring it to the surface. And like she basically saying like we can't do business without handling personal. And Tiny basically telling her, like, yes, we can. Like, you need to, like, little stuff like this need to be nipped in the bud so we can get to the money, basically. So that's when, and Tiny was like, we got a sisterly love. So that's when Tamika finally is like, why you still mad at me? Asking Tasha, why you still mad at me? I thought that was so funny because I was like, that's super sisterly. Like, that's some sister stuff that would happen. Why you mad at me? But at the same time, it was just like, you knew this wasn't going to go nowhere. But she says, oh yeah, also when they was asking her about the management team, change of management. And she was like, they was like, what do you think, Tasha? And Tasha was like, I need to pray about it. So then we get to Candy in her confessional. She talking about, basically, she got to go ask her brain, a.k.a. her husband, how to move or whatever, before she can answer the question for real. And then they flash to a confessional scene where with Tasha's husband's whispering something in her ear, and the producer's asking her husband, like, what you whisper in her ear? And he like, what she needs to say. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm seeing the husband. Now I'm seeing the husband for being the shady guy that people have been saying he is. So I was like, oh, snap. So then we get back to Tamika telling Tasha, why you still mad, basically. And Tasha basically talking about until you fix it with mom, I don't even think we should be discussing this, and basically just discussing what we discussing here. And she like, and I don't want to go back and forth with you in front of other people. And I'm just like, first of all, these supposed to be your sisters. You've known them 30 plus years. Like, what do you mean other people? You mean the world? Like, you're on a reality show. What you expect? And that scene was on, the scene with the mom was on reality show. So it's like nobody in this room don't know what happened. So it's just like, why are you saying that you don't want to talk about it right now in front of other people? And then you say, what was the other thing she said? Need to talk to mom about, we need to talk about what happened with mom. And like Tamika had a point, she said, what does mom have to do with what they talking about? They talking about new management. They talking about getting this tour running and up and running. And you talking about something with your mom. And it's weird because when you was there with your mom, you didn't have that much to say. And then this is the part I wanted to get to, because when the mom left that voicemail to Tamika telling her she need to fix it with Tasha, but now you got Tasha sitting here at this meeting talking about something she need to fix it with mom. Y'all both want her to fix it with each other, but when y'all get to each other, y'all not trying to communicate with her. Y'all want her to go to fix it with the other person. The mom saying go fix it with Tasha. She tried to go fix it with Tasha. Tasha saying go fix it with mom. She tried to go fix it with mom. Mom saying Tasha. Tasha saying, like, it's like, make it make sense. That I was just so thrown by that. Like, and that's just, I'm sorry, I'm not liking Tasha. I'm sorry. Like, I'm on the second episode and I'm not liking Tasha. I'm sorry. And I feel bad because she's the only one that I'm not liking so far. It's just seeming that way to me. She tells Tasha, like, you just seem so, like, you got a chip on your shoulder and you just always seem so upset. And she's like, I miss the old Tasha. Like, I don't even know who you are anymore. And they show these little cute flashbacks of them having little cute sisterly moments. And I was like, oh, I wish I could have seen that. Because I didn't watch the spinoff, so I don't know. This is me getting their these are my first impressions and first sightings of them being sisters and interacting as sisters. So this is my first time seeing that. So to see the flashbacks and then see them now, it's like, dang. So Tasha, she gets up and they like, well, I guess we're going to let her pray about it. And so Tiny like, I'm gonna walk her out. And they basically like, I guess we're going to have to wait for the sisters to make up before this group gets any further. Which is BS to me, because it's like Tasha should be able to put stuff to the side. Like, she should be able to put stuff to the side. That's just weird to me, that they can't even move forward because of her. I'm blaming her. I'm saying she's the problem. Then we get the scene with Taj and her son and her husband in there. And Taj basically telling her story about how she followed her husband. I guess he was an NFL player or an NBA player, one of the two. Followed her husband, planted roots in Nashville, and still has to go back and forth to like do escape stuff, basically. talking about her son, her only son, and her life with escape, basically. Like, all these family moments is basically telling us where they came from and where they are now. Then we get Coco with her son and her mom. And Coco talks about her life. She grew up in the church. Her mother used to sing with Luther Vandross before he was Luther Vandross, apparently. And her mother's still in the studio. And when she was with SWV, she had to lie and tell her mother it was a gospel group until they started getting the contract. Then she had to tell her mother the truth that it was an R&B group. She talked about how she got 2 sons. One of them is like he a rapper. I guess he do music like Lil Pump and I think she said EMDM, something like that. That genre music. One of her sons do that. And she said her other son wanted to be a dentist, but now he want to be a singer. But in the preview, it looked like he don't want to be a singer no more. So we don't know what he gonna want to do. And I enjoyed the fact that well, Coco didn't say what her son identifies as, but it looks like he's I don't want to speak wrong. I want to say gender fluid maybe. But he looks expressive, like the painted nails and things like that. I don't want to just assume, but it was refreshing to see that, and then to see someone like her mother, who's supposed to be like so heavily in the church, not like we don't want to see that scene where he gotta bash the child because he expressing himself and things like that. Like it seems like they have a nice relationship, nice bond. So I'm glad that that's refreshing that's refreshing to see. Okay, yeah. So then we get these back and forth scenes between so we got Candy and it's like a DJ and a producer and her husband Todd, and then we get Tasha and her husband sitting at the table. Apparently it's their 27th year anniversary or something like that. So these scenes go like back and forth, and they basically talking about the deep issues that are between Candy and Tasha and why they just can't get along, and also adding into that the problems that's going on right now and stuff like that. So Todd's telling Candy like they need to pinpoint the issue within the group. No, I skipped something. Yeah, first Tasha and her husband, they sitting down there little 27th anniversary, and they talking about how her husband telling her that they need to figure it out because they like the best girl group and everybody loved them, things like that. And talking about how Candy, then we get Tasha in her confessionals because she ain't really saying this to her husband, but in a way she is. She's talking about how Candy was always jealous of her. She would sing, she would sound so good, and she would write songs, and Candy would be like, why she writing so many songs? Y'all trying to set her up for a solo deal. And at the time, I guess Jermaine Dupri was their manager or something like that, or like their handler. I don't know what he was, but he was also dating Candy or had a thing for Candy or something like that. So she was getting her way, having her way, basically. This is what Tasha's saying to her with her husband, and then we get Candy with her DJ producer and her husband, and Todd's telling her like, y'all need to get to y'all need to pinpoint the issue, the real issues of why y'all started beefing. So then we get Candy saying that Candy and Todd basically saying that Tasha was always jealous of Candy because Candy ended up going solo and ended up having this big career that she has, and Tasha feel like that should be hers. And this is what Candy and Todd are saying. These are what they're saying. And saying that she resents Candy for having a solo deal. And then we get Tasha. She talked about how she was supposed to get a solo deal, and everybody was happy for her except for Candy. And then all of a sudden it fell through, and Candy ended up getting a solo deal like a couple of months later or something like that. So she felt like Candy sabotaged her in a way. This is what Tasha's saying. And then we get Tasha and her husband talking about going out to Nashville to see a record label about getting her a solo deal. So I was like, okay, here we go with this solo deal storyline. So apparently, because I watched the podcast and I found out that Tasha was signed to Motown. So then we found out on this episode that she signed to Motown Gospel. So I'm like, is she switching over? And I would understand why the dude that was basically the executive producer of not executive producer, the head, the CEO of the record label, whatever, was asking her, about her afflictions with Escape. I would understand why he asked that now, because it's Motown gospel. I thought it was just Motown. So I was like, okay, soul, R&B, all that running to each other. But Motown gospel, like gospel and R&B, are totally different genres. So they there. They basically asked her the type of questions that the interviewer asked her, like, why us and why now and things like that. And she giving them the answers, little answers, whatever. And they asking her about, so what does this mean with escape if you come with us? And she don't really have no answer. She's just saying she don't know. And it's like, you should, at this point, you should not know. I mean, you should not know. And then you telling them that they don't even know you there. Like, that's a red flag to me. Like, you can't just sit up here and tell her, like, say if this was a regular job interview, you interviewing for a job and you tell them you already got a job, but they don't know you here. Like, that don't make sense. Like, that's telling them that you would be untruthful, in my opinion. But they eating her up, basically. I mean, I don't know. They could have just been doing that for the cameras or for the sake of the meetup. They eating her up. And then when she said, and then this was the thing that kind of had me weirded out. When she told the CEO of the company, and he had somebody else there too. I guess she was, I don't know these titles, whatever. But she tells them that she didn't tell Escape she was there. And the husband like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. You didn't tell me that, baby. And I'm just like, one, I believe you knew. I believe you knew. Two, why are you acting like you didn't know, like it's a big deal? Like, who cares? Or maybe it did look unprofessional, like I said. And then three, what was my last point? I do not be remembering. You just threw your wife under the bus. Like, if she didn't tell them, you pretend like you knew regardless. That was just weird to me. So then they asked her to sing on the spot. And I think she's a beautiful singer, but it was just like run after run after run. I don't know. I haven't heard her sing solo and acapella a lot, so I didn't know what I was supposed to expect. But she sounded good. She didn't sound bad. Yeah, like I said, my rating for this, that was the last scene, and that was just like, it was like, okay, go to Motown Gospel. Bye. I don't know. Bye, problem. Anyway, like I said, I rate this episode a C, because it's just like, what? Like the back and forth talking about, it was just like, bruh, talk to each other. This is y'all problem. Y'all going in on confessionals and saying this and saying that, or saying this to y'all family and friends and loved ones and people y'all around, things like that. But y'all not saying it to each other when y'all in these group settings and when y'all have these group meetups. That's the part that blows me. That's why that's why I rate this episode a C. Like, that's why. So then we get, I don't even really talk about the preview, but there was one preview I wanted to talk about. The preview at the end, I mean, it was a preview into the next episode where I guess they have a meetup, SWV and Escape, and they talk about who's going to open for this tour or whatever they're supposed to be doing, big performers. And it's like, who cares? Like, I'm just like, now I feel like they just making up storyline. Who cares who opens? Like, y'all both came out in the same era. Like, one might came out a couple of years before, or maybe a year before, whatever. Y'all came out in the same era. It's the same generation. Like, who cares who opens? Like, that's so petty to me. I hope they resolve that in the end. Because then you hear Coco saying, I've been, what's she say? I've been in this game for 30 years or something like that. You think I'm opening or something like that? I don't know. But it's just like, that seemed petty to me. So I hope they did that come next episode. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. Oh, please like the video and share the video and subscribe to my channel, because I do review other shows. I review Snowfall. I review Bel Air. And I'm about to review Power Ghost when it comes back on next week. So yeah, what's today? Today's Monday. I'll be back on Thursday to review Snowfall. Thanks for watching this with me, and y'all have a good week.